My hands were sweaty as I sat in the front row of the auditorium. The scholarship ceremony was about to begin, and my heart pounded like a drum in my chest. This wasn't just any scholarship. It was the Northfield Scholars Award, the biggest one at our school. $50,000. Enough to cover all 4 years of college. Enough to change everything for me and my family. I had spent months preparing for this moment. Late nights writing essay drafts. Early mornings volunteering at the community center so I'd have more service hours. My teachers had written glowing recommendation letters, calling me the most hardworking student they'd ever taught. This was supposed to be my night. The principal stepped up to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us as we honor this year's Northfield Scholar. The crowd hushed. My mom gripped my hand, whispering, "This is it, Maya. You earned this." Then the principal read the name. Not mine. Congratulations to Emma Collins. Applause broke out. Students clapped politely. Teachers nodded. But my ears rang. My stomach dropped. Emma Collins. The committee chair's niece. I forced my hands to clap while my chest tightened. Emma walked across the stage, her heels clicking against the wood. She smiled and waved, soaking in the spotlight. I felt sick. When the ceremony ended, I walked up to the committee chair, Mr. Collins, who was Emma's uncle. He wore a smug smile as people congratulated him. "Excuse me," I said quietly. "Can I ask why my application wasn't considered? I submitted everything on time." His smile vanished. He looked at me like I was an annoying fly buzzing in his ear. "Your file was late, Maya," he said flatly. "We can't bend the rules for anyone." Late? My mind spun. I remembered the exact night I submitted it. March 14th, at 11:37 p.m. I had the email confirmation saved. But before I could argue, he turned his back and walked away, laughing at some joke another teacher told. On the car ride home, my mom tried to cheer me up. "Maybe it was just a mistake," she said softly. "Maybe next year." "There is no next year," I snapped, tears burning my eyes. This was it. This was the only year I could apply. I stared out the window at the passing street lights, my jaw clenched. Late. He said I was late. But I knew the truth. I had the receipt. When we got home, I ran upstairs, pulled open my laptop, and searched my inbox. There it was. March 14th, 11:37 p.m. I clicked it open. The subject line, Submission Confirmation, Northfield Scholars Award. I scrolled down. The timestamp glowed like a beacon. Before the midnight deadline. Clear as day. My hands shook as I whispered to myself, they lied. I spent the rest of the night digging through my files. I pulled up the drafts of my essays, each one autosaved with dates. I found the PDF I submitted, last modified at 11:28 p.m. I even had a screenshot I'd sent to my best friend that night, bragging that I'd made it just in time. There was no doubt. My application had been on time. So why did Mr. Collins tell me it was late? The answer crept into my brain like poison, because he never gave it to the committee. He tossed it aside so his niece could win. The next morning at school, I watched Emma bask in her victory. She wore a new dress and carried balloons her friends had given her. Everywhere she went, people congratulated her. "You're so lucky," one girl gushed. I heard you didn't even have that many volunteer hours, but your essay must have been amazing. Emma blushed. Yeah, amazing. I clenched my teeth. I had read Emma's writing before. She could barely put 2 sentences together without a typo. Amazing? Please. When she passed me in the hallway, she smirked. Better luck next time, Maya. Heat rose in my chest. I wanted to scream, to shout that it wasn't fair. But I stayed silent. Because screaming wouldn't fix this. Proof would. That night, I gathered every piece of evidence I had: emails, screenshots, drafts, timestamps. I printed them all out and slid them into a binder. Page after page of proof. Solid, undeniable. As I flipped through it, my hands trembled, not with fear, but with a new kind of energy. For the first time since the ceremony, I felt something stronger than despair. I felt determination. But a question nagged at me. What was I supposed to do with this binder? March into Mr. Collins's office and slam it on his desk? He'd just laugh in my face again. Should I go straight to the dean? But what if the dean was close with Mr. Collins? What if they swept it under the rug? Or should I take it to the donor foundation, the ones who actually funded the scholarship? They cared about fairness. They cared about reputation. I didn't know the right path yet. All I knew was that I had proof. And proof was power. That weekend, I sat on my bed staring at the binder on my desk. My mom knocked on the door and peeked in. You okay, sweetie? She asked. I nodded. I will be. She walked over, picked up the binder, and flipped through a few pages. Her eyes widened. Maya, this is serious. You could expose them with this. I swallowed hard. I know. But if I do, I'll be going against the whole committee. Against Emma. Against her uncle. What if everyone hates me for it? Mom put the binder down and looked me in the eyes. Sometimes doing the right thing means standing alone. The question is, are you strong enough to do it? I didn't answer. Not yet. Because deep down, I wasn't sure. What would you do if your scholarship was stolen because of nepotism? Would you stay quiet and move on, or would you risk everything to fight back? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to more revenge stories. The weekend felt endless. I kept staring at that binder on my desk. It was heavy with paper, but it felt heavier with truth. Every time I thought about the ceremony, my chest burned. The applause for Emma. Mr. Collins turning his back on me. The word late echoing in my head even though I knew it wasn't true. On Sunday night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to let them get away with this. The first thing I did was go back to my email. I didn't just want one confirmation email. I wanted everything. So I searched Northfield Scholarship in my inbox. Dozens of results came up, reminders, newsletters, even the first announcement of the award. I clicked through each one, printing anything that had my name, my email, or a timestamp. March 10th, reminder, applications due March 14th by midnight. March 14th, submission confirmation. March 15th, thank you for applying. Your file will be reviewed. 3 emails. All time-stamped. All proof. I slid them into the binder, one after the other. Page protectors. Neat. Organized. Then I opened my Google Drive. Every draft of my essay was there, with autosave times. I printed the final version, circled the time, 11:28 p.m. on March 14th. I even found the screenshot I sent my best friend, Zoe. Made it with 22 minutes to spare, woohoo! I had texted her that night. I smiled as I added it. Proof layered on proof. On Monday morning, I walked into school with the binder tucked under my arm. Zoe met me at my locker. "You look like you're carrying a whole library," she joked. "It's my evidence," I said. "I'm not letting them call me a liar." Zoe leaned in. "Want me to back you up?" "I remember you texting me that night." "I can tell them." Relief washed over me. "Yes." "Write it down. Anything helps." By lunchtime, 2 more friends agreed to sign short statements. They had been in the library when I rushed to finish my essay. They remembered me celebrating when I clicked submit. 3 witnesses. 3 more pages in the binder. But as I built my case, whispers swirled around school. "She's just jealous of Emma. She's trying to ruin her cousin's big moment. She can't accept losing." I heard the comments in the hallways. Some students stopped talking when I walked by. Others looked at me with pity, like I was fighting a battle I couldn't win. Even one teacher shook her head. "Maya, sometimes life isn't fair. It's best to move on." I bit my tongue, but inside, I thought, no. It's best to prove the truth. That afternoon, I took a deep breath and walked to the dean's office. My palms were sweaty, and my heart raced. "Do you have an appointment?" the secretary asked. "No," I said, hugging the binder. "But it's important." She gave me a doubtful look but knocked on the door. "Dean Harris, Maya wants to see you." "Send her in," came a voice from inside. The dean sat behind a massive desk piled with papers. He looked tired, like a man who'd been buried in meetings for years. "Maya, what can I do for you?" I set the binder on his desk. "It's about the scholarship." My application was not late. Mr. Collins lied. His eyebrows rose. "That's a strong accusation." I opened the binder and slid the confirmation email toward him. Here's the timestamp. March 14th, 11:37 p.m. Before the deadline. He adjusted his glasses and read carefully. Then he flipped to the next page, and the next. His frown deepened. Finally, he leaned back in his chair. "This complicates things." "Complicates?" I repeated. "It's proof. They stole the scholarship from me." The dean tapped his pen on the desk. "Maya, accusations like this can damage reputations. Mr. Collins has been on the committee for years. He's respected. Are you sure you want to pursue this?" My throat tightened, but I forced my voice steady. "Yes. I'm sure." That night, I couldn't stop thinking about what the dean had said. Complicates things. Respected. Translation: he might sweep this under the rug. So I did something bold. I drafted an email. "Dear Dean Harris, I am submitting my official appeal regarding the Northfield Scholarship. I am attaching proof of timely submission. For transparency, I am also copying the donor foundation on this email." My fingers trembled as I typed the CC, Northfield Scholars Foundation. 1 click. Sent. The next morning, chaos hit. Mr. Collins stormed into my classroom before first period, his face red as a tomato. "Maya," he barked. "What is the meaning of this email? You went over my head?" Students froze. The teacher looked stunned. I kept my voice calm. "I had to. You said my file was late. But it wasn't." His hands clenched into fists. "You're making a fool of yourself. Do you think the foundation will take you seriously?" "Yes," I said quietly. "Because I have proof." He glared at me so hard I thought his eyes might burn through my skin. Then he spun around and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The classroom buzzed with whispers. Some students looked impressed. Others looked scared. I just sat down, my heart pounding so loud I could barely hear. By lunchtime, the news had spread everywhere. Some kids still whispered that I was jealous, but something else was happening too. Teachers began stopping me in the halls. One slipped me a note, "I saw your application. You were the strongest candidate by far. Don't give up." Another pulled me aside, "The committee never even discussed your essay." I thought it was strange. "I'm glad you're speaking up." Each word was like fuel in my chest. I wasn't alone anymore. People had seen the truth. They just needed permission to say it out loud. On Wednesday, an email popped into my inbox. My breath caught when I saw the sender, Northfield Scholars Foundation. "Dear Maya, we take allegations of unfair practices very seriously. We are requesting all application files, timestamps, and scoring sheets from your school's committee. Please allow a few days for us to review." My hands shook as I read it over and over. They believed me enough to investigate. I whispered to myself, "This is just the beginning." That night, I added new pages to the binder, the foundation's email, the dean's notes, even the angry confrontation with Mr. Collins written down in my own words. Piece by piece, the wall of truth was building higher. And I knew it was only a matter of time before it came crashing down on the people who lied. What would you do in Maya's place? Keep fighting quietly, or go fully public and risk your whole reputation? Comment your answer below, and don't forget to subscribe for more revenge stories. The next few days were a blur. Every time I opened my email, my heart skipped. Messages from the Northfield Scholars Foundation kept arriving. They were polite but firm. They wanted copies of every file, every timestamp, every score sheet from our school's committee. I could almost hear the panic behind the walls of the administration office. By Friday afternoon, an announcement came over the loudspeaker: scholarship committee members are requested to meet in the boardroom at 3 p.m. today. Whispers flew through the halls. Everyone knew something was happening. I walked into the boardroom with my binder pressed against my chest. The room smelled of coffee and nervous sweat. At the long table sat Dean Harris, Mr. Collins, 3 other committee members, and, my breath caught, 2 representatives from the donor foundation. One was a tall woman in a navy blazer. The other was a man with silver hair and sharp eyes. "Maya, thank you for joining us," the woman said kindly. "We want to hear from you directly." My knees shook, but I nodded and sat down. Dean Harris cleared his throat. "We are here to resolve concerns about the scholarship selection process. Maya has raised allegations, and the foundation has asked for full transparency." Mr. Collins leaned forward, his face red. "This is unnecessary. The decision was made fairly. Maya is just upset she didn't win." The silver-haired man raised an eyebrow. "Then you won't mind if we review the evidence together?" He opened a folder thick with papers. We have copies of every file, timestamp, and scoring sheet your committee submitted. But some things don't add up. He slid one paper across the table. Maya's application is marked as received March 15th, 1:12 a.m. That would be late. Yet she has a confirmation email dated March 14th, 11:37 p.m. He looked directly at Mr. Collins. Can you explain this discrepancy? The room went silent. Mr. Collins tugged at his collar. Systems make mistakes. Maybe the server recorded it wrong. These things happen. I opened my binder and slid my own copy across the table. This is my confirmation email. And here is a screenshot of my essay saved at 11:28 p.m. on March 14th. The system didn't make a mistake. You did. Gasps rippled through the room. One committee member, Mrs. Patel, frowned deeply. I never saw Maya's essay. It wasn't in the packet we reviewed. Another nodded. Mine either. Her name wasn't on the score sheets we received. I looked around the table, my voice shaking but clear. That's because Mr. Collins pulled it out. He made sure you never saw it. Emma, sitting quietly in the corner, suddenly shifted in her chair. Her face was pale, her hands twisting in her lap. The woman from the foundation leaned forward. Emma, when did you submit your application? Emma's voice was small. The day after the deadline. My jaw dropped. She admitted it. Dean Harris's pen froze over his notepad. The silver-haired man's eyes narrowed. So your application was late. Yet it was included and awarded. Emma's eyes filled with tears. She looked at her uncle, her voice trembling. You said it didn't matter. You said you'd take care of it. The room exploded. Committee members raised their voices. One slammed his hand on the table. Do you realize what you've done? You've jeopardized the integrity of the whole award. Mr. Collins stood, his chair screeching back. She's my niece. What was I supposed to do, let her fail? The woman in the navy blazer's voice cut like ice. You were supposed to be fair. Instead, you committed fraud. Emma sobbed into her hands. I didn't want this. Uncle, you made me. My stomach twisted. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered the smirk she gave me in the hallway. Better luck next time, Maya. No. She wasn't innocent. She played along until she got caught. The foundation reps stood. The man's voice was calm but final. Effective immediately, the award to Emma Collins is revoked. The rightful recipient, based on scores and submission times, is Maya. My breath caught. My mom's face flashed in my mind. Her tired eyes, her hopeful smile at the ceremony. I had done it. But Mr. Collins wasn't done. He pounded the table, his voice booming. You can't do this. You'll ruin my reputation. The woman glared at him. You ruined it yourself. Security was called to escort him out after he refused to calm down. As he stormed out, he shot me a look of pure hatred. But I didn't flinch. For the first time, he looked small. When the room settled, Dean Harris turned to me. Maya, you've been incredibly brave. I'm sorry this happened. Mrs. Patel reached over and squeezed my hand. Your essay was beautiful, Maya. You should have been the winner all along. Tears burned my eyes, but this time they weren't from anger. Emma sat slumped in her chair, her mascara running. She whispered, I didn't ask for this. I didn't want to disappoint him. I almost replied, but I stopped myself. Because it didn't matter. She had still taken something that wasn't hers. That night, I sat at my desk with the binder still open. The scholarship was mine now. $50,000. College paid for. But as I stared at the papers, another thought gnawed at me. After everything, the lies, the humiliation, the whispers at school, did I even want to accept it? Would taking it feel like justice? Or would walking away send an even stronger message? I closed the binder slowly, my heart heavy. I had won. But now came the hardest choice of all. If this were you, would you accept the scholarship after exposing the lies, or would you walk away to make a bigger point? Tell me in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss more sweet vengeance stories. That weekend, I barely left my room. The scholarship was officially mine now. The donor foundation had sent a letter with my name on it, signed by the board. The money would be sent directly to the college I chose. It should have been the happiest moment of my life. But instead, I sat on my bed staring at the letter, feeling complicated. I thought about the ceremony where Emma stood on stage while I sat in the crowd. I thought about the whispers, the laughter, the way people looked at me when Mr. Collins called me late. Even though the truth was out now, those memories didn't just vanish. On Sunday night, my mom came into my room carrying 2 mugs of hot cocoa. She set one on my desk and sat beside me. You should be proud, she said softly. You fought for yourself. You won. I wrapped my hands around the warm mug. I don't know if I want it, Mom. She blinked. What do you mean? It feels dirty, I admitted. Like it's been poisoned. They tried to make me look like a liar. They humiliated me. And now I'm supposed to smile and take the award like nothing happened? Mom was quiet for a long moment. Then she touched my shoulder. Taking what you earned isn't dirty, Maya. It's justice. Her words sank into me slowly, like water into dry soil. Justice. Maybe she was right. The next week at school was chaos. Everyone had heard what happened. Some kids congratulated me. Others avoided me, uncomfortable with the drama. Emma stopped coming to school for a few days. When she finally returned, she walked with her head down, her usual group of friends scattered. I caught her staring at me once in the cafeteria. Her eyes were red and swollen. She looked like she hadn't slept. Part of me wanted to hate her forever. But another part, a small part, just saw a girl trapped in her uncle's shadow, who let herself go along with something she knew was wrong. I didn't smile at her. I didn't frown either. I just looked away. The fallout hit Mr. Collins hardest. Within a week, he was removed from the committee. By the end of the month, he resigned from his position as chair of the English department. Parents were furious. Alumni wrote angry letters. His reputation, built over 20 years, crumbled in days. And I didn't feel sorry. Not one bit. But I wanted to do something more. Something bigger than just taking the scholarship. So when the donor foundation invited me to their office downtown, I went with an idea. The building was tall and glassy, with the foundation's name etched in silver letters. Inside, everything smelled like lemon polish and professionalism. The board members sat around a polished table as I explained. "I'm grateful for the scholarship," I said, my voice steady. "But I don't want to just use it for myself. I want to set aside a portion to start a small fund for students who face unfair treatment, students like me." The woman in the navy blazer leaned forward, her eyes warm. "What would you call it?" I took a breath. "The Fair Chance Fund." The board members nodded. One even smiled. "That's inspiring, Maya. We can match your contribution and make it a real program." My heart soared. This was bigger than me now. Months passed. I chose a college, packed my bags, and moved into a small dorm with posters on the walls and sticky notes reminding me to do laundry. Every time I walked into class, every time I opened a textbook, I remembered, I was here because I refused to stay silent. And I wasn't just here for me. I was here for every student who thought they had no power against unfairness. A year later, I came back to my high school for Thanksgiving break. Dean Harris invited me to speak at the scholarship assembly. The stage looked the same as the night I lost, but now, the spotlight was mine. I stood at the podium, looking out at rows of students with hopeful eyes. "I know how much this award means," I began. "I know how hard you've worked. And I want you to remember something: fairness matters. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. If you know the truth, fight for it. Even if you stand alone." The students clapped, and I felt tears prick my eyes. Because I knew somewhere in the crowd was another Maya, someone quiet, hardworking, maybe overlooked. And maybe my words would remind them they deserved to be seen. That night, as I lay in my childhood bed staring at the ceiling, my phone buzzed. A message from Emma. "I'm sorry." Just 2 words. I stared at the screen, my chest heavy. I didn't reply. Not because I hated her, but because I wasn't ready. Maybe one day I'd forgive her. Maybe one day we'd talk. But for now, I had peace. And that was enough. I rolled over, smiling faintly, thinking about teal dorm walls, mismatched dishes, and the Fair Chance Fund. My story wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about building something new. Something fair. And that, I realized, was the sweetest victory of all. I hope you enjoyed this video. If this were you, would you take the scholarship and use it, or would you turn it down to make a point? Comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.